This is the Giraffes Don't Eat Steak podcast, a show that brings you marketing stories, tips, hints, and much more. A treat for those who want to succeed in business or marketers who just want to learn. Hello, Alex. Hi, Mickaël.
Hi, Erika. Hi, Alex.
Welcome, Mickaël. It's nice to have you on our podcast. First time, first guest. You've popped the cherry of our guest podcast.
I know. Well, it kind of makes sense, like you do mention the giraffes on your podcast. So, I guess the 6'9" guy has to be the first guest, right?
Exactly. There wasn't any other choice.
So here I am.
I walked past the farm earlier and there was a llama or an alpaca. And I was wondering, are they related to giraffes in any way? Because they've got really long necks. Do you reckon they have any ancestral linkage from giraffes?
I don't know.
We could have a sister podcast could be the llamas don't eat lettuce or something.
They probably do eat
Yeah.
lettuce, though.
They do eat lettuce, yeah.
Aren't we all related somehow? That's aren't we all alpacas? That's cousins somehow.
I guess so. I did the 23andMe the other day, and just because I thought I'd find something maybe interesting, but I really should have just looked at myself in the mirror and gone, there is nothing exotic about this. It's purely from the British Isles. I was correct. I was 99% British
Oh,
Isles.
Oh
no.
wow!
I had a small percentage of French and German, but majority it says I'm 90% from East Midlands, apparently.
Wow, that's super accurate.
So,
Like literally, you have very lazy ancestors. Basically, you just never left.
yeah, exactly. Zero tropical blood in
Yeah,
me.
I did the same, and then for every French person, the thing I mean, I'm okay with it, but the thing you don't really want is to have anything related with Italy, because there is this rivalry between France and Italy, and it happens that I have some Italian blood, and has nothing to do with it. But there is quite a few percentage also from Northern Europe, which could explain the height situation as well. So I guess everything makes sense.
So you're having internal battles with your inner Italian and your inner French on a
Oh, I
daily.
passed that now. It's okay. I've I've talked about it and I feel better.
I think Erica is like part Asian, part African, part Swedish, part
No Swedish. I've got Spanish. And I've got
Spanish.
Ghanaian. And
Ghanaian. Okay.
and then some Scottish. So that's my mix.
I thought you had some an Asian country.
There is
there
Asia as well. Can't remember which one though.
What was your highest percentage?
Spanish.
What was your highest percentage? Spanish.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
That's why I can dance, right? Must be the Spanish.
Yeah, everything
Well,
makes sense.
that's the reason. That's the reason I can't dance, because I've got
Exactly.
90% East Midlands.
And while we're on the topic of things you can't do, Alex, the other thing you can't do is sell. And that's why we have you on our chat today, Mickaël. We were talking about marketing versus sales and
Yes.
the ongoing war. And we thought, well, who is one of the best salespeople we've ever met in our lives and become friends with? And it's you. So
And he wasn't available, so we invited Mickaël instead.
Here I am. Option number 7. That's me. I'm glad you guys thought about me at the end of your list.
So Mickaël, we know all about you, and obviously now our audience have heard your height and they've heard your ancestry. Why don't you tell us a little bit else about you? What are you doing? What's career-wise? Where are you? Give us a little background.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll do the super speed run short version. So So I'm actually a former graphic designer, ended up in sales, really by no absolute reason. It just happened. My over a decade experience in sales now has been lead generation, client retention. It has been client success. So having worked for a few lead generation players such as MVF and Lead.io, where I was partnership manager and general manager UK. I've also worked for a few SaaSes as general manager. Worked at Yeldify, worked at which was focusing into customer retention on site. So all of these lovely pop-ups you see on e-commerce website, that's probably coming from these guys. And I've also did some time as well at Mention Me, who's a European leader in customer acquisition through referral marketing. So I've opened the French market for these guys, and we got selected for a few accelerator program, which was very excited. And for the third time now, I'm back in lead generation. I try to run away 3 times from lead generation, and it just doesn't happen. It's calling me back all the time. And now I'm chief sales officer at Prism Marketing Group. We're based in Canary Wharf. And we specialize into customer acquisition in about 12 different verticals in about 7 different countries. Work with over 100 clients, and I jumped in about 7-8 months ago as chief sales officer, kind of help restructure everything and getting a few deals in. And it's been a delight. I'm absolutely loving it, and it happened that I am back at selling, and I'm loving it because it's so easy when you've done it for so long. So yeah, it's pretty much me in a nutshell. Very, very quick introduction.
Fantastic. Thanks, Mickaël. So sales, easy for you, but the reason we were chatting about it is because not so easy for Alex and I. And although we were talking about how easy it is to spot a bad salesperson, right? Like, and we met cheaper 6 years ago now. It's been a while, right? When you were selling to us, and you happened to be fantastic, and hence we said yes to you and move on, versus some of your competitors that were really bad. So being good at sales obviously has its benefits. But so for you, Mickaël, if we had to say, what are your top tips? If you had to say, what are the top 3 things you would say to a new salesperson just starting out on what they should be doing to approach a potential client?
Yeah, I think there's probably 3 or 4 key points. The first one is know your product. And I think to anybody trying to sell you anything, you need to make sure that you know your product on the back of your hand. Like you need to know everything. You need to talk to your teams internally. You need to know what's coming up. You need to talk to the director of the company, to talk to the dev team, to customer success. You need to understand what the pain points are for some of the clients. You need to know why we've lost some. All of the ins and outs of your product. And I'd say that is definitely the most important thing. If you're not confident with what you're selling, then you're not going to be selling very well, or not as much as you should actually sell.
You have all of the arsenal to answer any problems or objections or anything like that. Really. So you can never be shocked by any question that comes your way.
Absolutely. So the first thing is, for any company that has a sales arm, you need to have at least some sorts of sales playbook in place. Like you need to be able to have easy to reach key information about what is the ICP. You need to understand what type of objection you're actually getting. You need to have all the materials, the decks, the training, and everything has to be done properly. I don't think you can hire a salesperson, give them a phone and no longer yellow pages, but Google and tell them find some prospect and close them. I think like it's a bit more. You need to make sure that you do proper training, that whoever works in your team as a sales manager, you need to make sure that you accompany them and that you help them, you hold their hands to start with, and then when they're ready to fly, that's just the beautiful part. But yeah, I would say have some sort of structure internally to make sure that there's key information. You need to have a good CRM. You need to make sure that all the information is easy, accessible. You need to make sure that the sales process is well thought. You need to make sure that your funnel has been worked on properly. So that I would say education part is probably the most important, or at least it's the first thing to start with. The second part, it will be
So
knowing, yeah.
before you move to your second part, I'm guessing marketing can play a big role working with you in that first part, right?
Yeah, I was just going to say, when Mickaël was talking then, I was thinking the crossovers between marketing and sales there. I was like, tick, 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 tick. And I was just thinking, so why don't we work seamlessly together?
Yeah, it's it took me, I've got to be honest with you, it took me a while to understand that there was no point having this rivalry between marketing and sales, because ultimately we have the same goal, right? It's just make sure that the company makes some sales, and one's working on getting the brand awareness, getting the prospects in, and the other one is meant to close this prospect and help the company grow. So
yeah,
on paper, that shouldn't be too complicated to make work. And I'm lucky that for the last few years, the companies I've worked for, that old school mindset of there is that war between sales and marketing and pointing fingers at each other's side is no longer there, at least for the companies that I worked for. But I can say that about 10 years ago, whatever was not working, you would never take the blame. And I think it was also a real ego thing, just try to make sure that, if the leads don't close, it's marketing fault. And if the leads don't close from marketing, it's sales fault, clearly, So I think that there is a lot of, stepping back and looking at the picture. And I think the thing that makes it work is communication. That's my opinion.
And joint understanding. I think what the process you described of having the right material, understanding the target client, making sure you know all the ins and outs of the product, having the FAQs. If marketing and sales, if both teams understand that exact same material, then you're on the same page. If you think about some of the examples where we worked before, it was often two completely different conversations, right?
Totally siloed.
Marketing thought we were delivering X, but sales wanted to close Y. And that's where the fighting happened, is because there wasn't that communication and joint understanding about who is this company serving and what is it we actually deliver.
And you would have thousands of different lead sources, and assuming that the conversion rate would be the same from an event to a SEO lead to a Facebook lead or to referral or whatnot, the conversion rate are completely different from one to the other. So you also need to know your metrics, and you need to manage your expectations when it comes to picking up the phone and not only having the right narrative as a salesperson, but understanding where those leads come from, and basically having the right pitch for the right audience as well, because the needs are different. If you push marketing, people initially don't really think about your product, but if it's SEO, people looked for your product. So it's a different approach as well. So there is lots of different ways to looking at it.
What would you, from your experience, if you were to speaking to our fellow marketers from a sales point of view, what's the best way to approach a new campaign with the sales team? How do we speak to a salesperson in the salesperson's language to be able to, I don't know, sell our idea a little bit more, or just create the most value from what we're doing? Because I think every type of person has a different way of being spoken to. They have a different language. Sales have different language to marketing. What is the key to connecting those two?
So the most important thing to me is data. And basically, if you come to me and you tell me we need to make it work this way because I think it's going to work, then my belief in whatever you're trying to achieve is going to be halved. Because if you come to me and you tell me, listen, this study showed, or our data showed, or our previous ads, based on statistical significance, showed us that XYZ, I'm all in. I'm absolutely fine. But if you come to me with an idea that is out of the box, that hasn't been proven, and I'm talking something separate to innovation and R&D. Like, I'm all up for trying new things. But if you starting with anything to do with marketing for any company, you wouldn't start with the innovation. You need to start with the basics, right? And I think, having a mutual understanding of what is our target audience, having a mutual understanding of what sort of revenue we should be getting, mutual understanding of what would be the conversion rate like. And then I trust any marketer anyway. Like, I'm not going to tell you how to do your job or what content you should serve to your audience. I think that's for you to do, but we should at least be aligned at that cross point where that leads coming from you is getting into my CRM, and then how am I going to go after that lead? What can you give me that's going to help me get it right? So if it's an event, what's like, how are we going to organize that? So we need to be aligned that the whole timeline needs to be understood on both sides. If this is PPC, for example, what message, like on what keyword did these people completed the form? So I know what their needs are, for example. If it's push marketing, what creative, what incentive did you serve them? So there is lots of different things that we need to be fully aligned. Yeah, I guess it's endless, but
That makes sense. So data as being the common language between the two departments, rather than trying to sell
feelings,
philosophy from marketing, or feeling or something like that. Data, that makes a lot of sense. If we that can be the unifying avenue of discussion. I like that.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for data. So but I'm like a real geek for data. I probably 5 years ago I fell in love with Google Sheets, and since then we've been living a wonderful life together.
Awesome.
Well,
Right.
I won't tell your wife.
No, please.
You're having an affair with the Google Sheets.
Thank you.
What's your second tip, Mickaël?
So after the education part, I think is basically the going to market. Like, you need to make sure that what tool are you going to be using to reach out to these people? Where are you going to find the information about these prospects? Because once you know your product, the second thing you have to learn is about your prospects, right? So you're not just picking up a phone and pitching a product. No, not anymore. Like, you are competing against hundreds of other companies that are also sending hundreds of emails every month to that same decision maker, and your job is to stand out. And I receive emails every day of people trying to sell me stuff, and if I see the word limited, I understand that it's come from an automated cadence on the CRM. So to me, I'm not answering to that. It's like low effort. Like, you could have another field in your CRM, just say trading name, right? So just this alone show me that you haven't really thought about none of that stuff. If I receive an email and I know, so I don't believe in mass email. That's another thing. I believe in personalization. So I think that you can scale through personalization, but you should not click on a button and send 300 emails with the same template and cross your fingers.
At least,
I guess it depends.
At least use their name as a
at least use the name. And a good way for me to find out if people actually are taking the time is when they misspell my name, because it's a weird spelling. So if I see it has been misspelled, I know that the person actually took time to. They don't have to type everything, but I know that if I get reached out and it's misspelled, I don't take it personally because, you know, most people forget the tréma, the two dots, and then the CK becomes a CH and it becomes Mickaël. I have a list of all the exotic names
That's a
I've
funny
been
way.
called.
That's a funny viewpoint, actually. They spelt my name wrong, therefore they must have done it themselves personally, and therefore they really wanted to send it to me.
Exactly. So this is the other one, but otherwise, I probably 3 or 4 times a month I will reply to people with feedback on how they can get the email better, on how they can get like a better response rate, and it's
Oh,
not at all a condescending approach.
free
Sorry.
coaching, free coaching.
Yeah.
So listeners, if you want some free feedback on the quality of your emails, I
No,
will make sure we put Mickaël's email address in the
no,
comments so that you can get your free
no.
coaching.
No, but I do that, and I find it fun, and I'd probably get like a 10% response rate of a thank you. I think people think that
Oh,
I'm being rude to them, but you know, it's you know, it's just simple things like, you know, I used to work for Lead.io, which is digital marketing lead generation, and I had someone reaching out to me and trying to sell me translation services. But I
Hmm.
told him, you know, our website is translated in 12 different languages, so clearly we don't need you. And second of all, we're working in about like probably 20 different countries in 12 different languages. So if you would have look at our website, you probably realize that we're not the right clients for you, because you want some sort of SME, but you just e-blast everything to everybody and you didn't really think through anything. And to me, the most fun part is the research. It's finding the snippets.
yeah.
So the way I'm looking at it is, whenever I apply for a job, I feel like I have to do my due diligence of not showing up and just, you know, figuring out what the job is about, what the company is about. Like, you have to do that due diligence before. So it's even easier when you go after a specific industry because you already have heard the names of these companies. So all you need to do is to look at Google News, you know, very easy. Um, then there is some, I don't know if you've heard of Google Dorking. And basically it's some sort of hacking language, but it's just like really easy um, words. So for example, if I'm looking for information within a website, I would just put hyphen, whatever keyword I want, close hyphen, and then I'll write still on Google, site dot dot and the URL. And it's going to find any information with that specific word on that specific website. So, and what I can do is I can do a negative in front of the website. So it's going to find that specific word or brand outside of that website, so I can potentially see who's talking about them. And just this alone, I could use that rule for looking for the name of the decision maker on Google News. And then if I was to add and between the decision maker and the company, then I have any article that mentioned his name or her name and the company. And then basically I already know where they're at and the information that I need to get to be relevant when I talk to them and find their needs. So you could, at the infancy of ChatGPT and Bard, I was playing a lot with AI, and I figured out that if I was to just paste the article and and just basically ask AI, how would contract management solution or lead generation be relevant for that company based on that article, paste the URL, it would find you all of the key thing that would potentially be making you relevant, and then in 2 clicks, you have a snippet that you can send them. And it took me less than 2 minutes. And then I know my response rates will be higher. I'm using a lot of GIFs. So for example, we do lead generation, right? So hundreds of companies are doing lead generation. So how do you make yourself different, right? So one of the things that I'm doing is creating a vertical GIF of the journey of the lead that I speed run. That is basically showing the ad, the landing page, the thank you page, the advertorial, and all of the journey, like very fast on the GIF that they get on the second paragraph of the email, obviously with either an unbranded journey within the industry. So if it's hearing aid or home security or whatnot. But if we do branded, I'm going to put the competitor's journey on this and say, we already work with your competitor and we already do that for them. There's no reason for you not to want to be interested, or at least have a conversation with me and talk through it. So it's just,
And
you just have to think about this.
Yeah, it's so key, right? To saying something, and we spoke about this a lot, is understanding what's on their minds. It's about what they're thinking about. And if you talk to that, you're much more likely to get a response. But you need to do the work, as you say. You need to do some digging, do some research, especially in the B2B market. B2C, a little bit easier, but definitely in B2B, who is the decision maker? What are they worried about? How do I get their attention? And that's if anybody listening thinks about it, that's what you respond to, right? If someone gets you, if someone goes, yes, and says that thing that you're worried about, you're like, oh yeah, that is what I'm thinking about. Let's talk. But for the salesperson, you have to do that work to understand what that is.
And I think
it's quite easy
sales and
as well.
marketing. Sorry, Alex.
No, carry on.
I was going to say sales and marketing should have on both departments a sales and a marketing brain. And I think that, when I'm going after my prospects, I'm thinking marketing and creativity and what's coming out of the box. And I've recently went after 2 prospects in the same company, and the digital marketing director had a LinkedIn profile where he was doing some climbing or something like this in the mud, this mud race, and actually threw that image into Photoshop that now has an AI tool, and I just prompted extend the image, and then I've asked to have an alligator, so it was like all muddy everywhere, right? And there was an alligator in front of him. I put some text saying lead generation doesn't have to be that difficult, and I sent that to the guy, and I did get a response from his colleague that was in the loop as well, and it's just trying to trigger something that's going to want to make them reply to you. And whether it's a yes or a no, you don't care. All you want is an answer. If they say no, you should be a good enough salesperson to make sure that you ask the why, and then the conversation starts, right? But so this is whatever it takes, and even if someone says no to me, I am very stubborn and I rarely take no for an answer. So I'll always find a way to nurture them.
No, it's still a door that opened, right?
It's a not now. No means not now.
Not now, yeah. If they don't respond, then you've got nothing.
Then you've got nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Funny enough, so I'm helping a French startup, and this morning, so they've been trying to go after, so they're going after a fashion brand, right? And they have this renting service that they offer to this brand. We take care of everything for them. It's amazing. And one of the co-founders sent me a message this morning, and she actually said, "Oh, we've done a case study that we want to share with clients, with prospects, but we don't think we're going to send it to that person because they don't reply to us." And I was like, but they will definitely never reply to you if you stop sending them emails, right?
That's true.
So yeah, I mean, and it's like you shouldn't let your ego being affected by none of that. And sales is 99.9% of no's, and this is just the life. And if you feeling, you can be frustrated by a no, but that shouldn't put you down. It's just like, fine, where are my other potential yeses? And that's what I'm going to be focusing on. But yeah, so
is that your third tip, Mickaël? Is that your third tip for new salespeople? Is be persistent and keep going, or do you have?
Every salesperson, I think that I'd say it depends on the product, because you have to know your product by heart, right? But lead generation, I don't know one objection that I don't have an answer for. And to me, it only comes by challenging your prospects and learning from your mistakes and listening to people around you and reading to your other colleagues' email, and for whatever wins they had, go through that whole thread of emails and see what difference, how different was their approach compared to yours, for example. And there is always stuff to learn. Even now I'm learning new things, because now you have to handle the whole, during COVID, you had to find objection with regards to COVID, right? Like, oh, we're not really investing because of COVID, we're unsure. Fine, okay, find whatever it is, just be creative. Now it's recession, right? And tomorrow will be something else. It's always been, these massive trends that, people think it's an easy, low-hanging fruit to throw at someone trying to sell you something, and they say that to everybody. So catch them where they're not expecting you to go. And when we used to do, so I used to be a general manager for OneFlow, which is contract management, and say, oh yeah, we're cutting budgets, so we don't have new budget for contract management. And it happened that solution was cheaper than the top guys in the industry. And the whole concept of contract management is to make you save money because you spend more time on your contract. So that's it, sales team. That's your approach. Someone tells you this is the way you're going to handle that objection. So you actually tell them, yeah, but that's fantastic, is recession, because we're here to help you during these times as well. And and at least you've got the answer. So just try to be creative.
Awesome. Mickaël, we could probably talk about this topic for hours, but I think we are coming to the end. Alex, do you want to give us a summary? What have we learned from Mickaël today?
Yeah, it sounds like there's 4 main outcomes or 4 main key takeaways for a salesperson. And I think this is education, knowing your product, so educating yourself, and I guess also educating your audience or the people you're working with, your teams. Data is very key to get the marketing team and the sales team working together. That's the common language, that's the love language of sales and marketing. And do your research. That one seems like the big one to me. Make sure you're well prepared to understand who you're speaking to, understand what this is. Again, a huge crossover with marketing.
Yeah, we do exactly the same.
Know your customer. Who are you speaking to? What are their pain points? How do your solutions solve those pain points, and what are the benefits you get from it? Don't tell them about the technical aspects of it. Tell them the benefits, not the features. And persistence. 99% of your answers are going to be no, and that's okay. Keep going.
But you could make that way lower if you do your research, if you go after the right company, if you have the right approach, if you're being smart in how you handle objections. You could drastically decrease that 99.9. My close rate for me at the moment is probably about 70 to 80%, because I pick the company that I want to go after, and I know that they already buy from competitors. I would know that they're already spending on PPC, SEO. I would know that whatnot. And basically, I throw all of that at them. And, and to me, you start calculating your close rate from the moment that you start having a conversation, because that's when the opportunity starts. That's how I look at it.
Yeah.
Fabulous. Mickaël, it has been an absolute pleasure having you on the show. Thanks for
having me, guys.
Thanks for being our guinea pig. Alex, I think this worked well. We should do it some more. What do you think?
No, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot.
It's also nice for us to talk less.
The pressure was off.
It was off. We can leave it all up to you. Anyway, thanks so much for listening, Mickaël. Thanks for joining us, and we will see you again soon.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Cheers. Bye-bye. That wraps up this episode of Giraffes Don't Eat Steak. Thanks for joining us. I hope you found value in our discussion and got some new ideas to apply to your own business. Tune in next week for another round of marketing insights and inspiration. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave us a review and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. We appreciate you listening. Catch you next time on Giraffes Don't Eat Steak.